The release date for Alan Wake 2 is getting closer and closer, and I wanted to talk about everything that we want out of this title, and I would love to hear the things that you guys want in the comment section down below. So let's get into it. So guys, Alan Wake 2. This is a title that is one of my most anticipated games for the rest of 2023. I think that for a lot of people, this is one of the most anticipated games because it's been a long time since we got the original Alan Wake title, and Remedy has been hard at work working on this title, and obviously been waiting for a sequel to the original Alan Wake. Remedy of course created Control, which was a really cool experience, but so many people wanted to go back to this world and back to Alan Wake, and I don't blame them because it's an incredible story, and it looks like they're going to be diving even deeper into this story with Alan Wake 2 in a pretty major way, that being, so much more horror elements, it feels like, than even maybe in the first game. We'll have to wait and see on that, but that leads me to the first thing that I really want to see out of Alan Wake 2, which is really doubling down on the horror elements. I believe that having horror over action for this franchise is very, very important. And so really making sure, maximizing those opportunities from, the perspective of horror over action. I certainly want there to be action in this game, guys, but I just want there to be more of a more horror elements than action, and that's at least what they've been promoting quite a bit, is that this is going to be a true horror title, and so I definitely hope that is true when the game releases. I also really want to see, guys, something that I talk about all the time with AAA titles is a full package. Alan Wake 2, it's being kind of really promoted as a single player experience, but what I would love to see is a number of other modes that come out in the future, whether it being, multiplayer modes, a number of different co-op modes. I think having a full package is very important, especially for a title like Alan Wake 2, where a lot of people are going to be, a lot of new people coming to this franchise to check it out. A lot of people who played the original game, coming back to the experience. But, I think the big important thing here for Remedy is to create an experience where people come to the experience to play the story, but then they can come back, play with their friends, or play up against other people across the globe. I think that is going to be a really interesting part of this if they end up deciding to do that at some point or another in, Alan Wake 2's, in terms of their trajectory or their, their game plan moving forward after the game initially releases. So I would love to see a full package out of Alan Wake 2. And, obviously, guys, not every game has to have a full package, but I just believe that if you only have a single player experience, after you're done with that single player experience, you're going to move on to other games. Maybe even if you play it a couple of times, you're going to at some point most likely move on to other games unless you just absolutely love the title. And, we see this with like even games like The Last of Us, as well as, even God of War Ragnarok. Now, The Last of Us has a multiplayer component to it. We've been waiting for The Last of Us 2 Factions to come out, but God of War Ragnarok, after you beat that experience, after you beat it a couple of times, you move on to another game. If there were more multiplayer experiences there, though, you would go back to that experience over and over again. And so I really want to see that here with Alan Wake 2. Number 3, guys, one of the things I would love to see here is they build off of what they had with Alan Wake 1. They really build off of it, but also, as I had mentioned with doubling down on those horror elements, one of the things I'd love to see is, even though I want this to be a true horror experience, I want there to be a variety of enemies, a variety of weapons that we get to use, maybe some customizable options as well as you progress through the story. I just want it to not feel that we're in the same location consistently. I'd like it to be one of those multiple different locations. I think that would be a really cool experience, having multiple places, multiple weapons to use, and then of course going up against multiple different types of enemies. It seems like he's going up against a cult in a number of ways, and so just having a variety of enemies I think would be really awesome too, and a variety of different settings in different areas that you're in. It can certainly be, night or dark out, the primary areas that you are for the, vast majority of the game. but I still think having a variety of different places to go is very, very important. And so it looks like this is going to be a pretty well versed game in terms of diversity, in terms of, setting and things of that nature. Weapons, it's hard to tell, but we'll have to kind of wait and see until the game, of course, releases to the world. The last thing that I really want to see Remedy do here with Alan Wake 2 is really set up the future for Alan Wake as a franchise. Obviously, I don't want Alan Wake 2 to be the final game in this franchise. I want them to make this game with the mindset of making it a very long-withstanding franchise. And so I'm hoping that this game kind of stands alone, but also sets up what is to come after. At the very least, I want them to make a trilogy out of Alan Wake. Obviously that would mean a third game. And so I really am hoping that there is a plan in motion to make this the best possible experience, but also have, the mindset to set up Alan Wake for the future. Of course, we want them to support this game at least for the next, 3-4 years, but I would love to see them move into how can we set this up for Alan Wake 3 and then games to come after that in the Alan Wake franchise. So those are the things that I really want to see right here, right now. We're going to be able to have a lot more things that we want out of Alan Wake as a franchise after the game comes out and we're able to play it, beat the game, and really have some more conversation about the future trajectory of this franchise. But let me know, guys, like I mentioned earlier, let me know in the comment section down below, what are the things that you want to see out of Alan Wake 2? Let me know. Let's have a conversation about it. And for more Alan Wake 2 content and videos, stay here with zrotv.